Hello, everyone. I am V. Srinivasa, also known as BSR. I am the chairman and managing director for BT&BT. I also chair Open Digital Innovation Group under IET. So today we are going to have a very interesting discussion on digital workplaces of the future. So how you can really secure and also get the great productivity quality from these distributed workplaces. I have esteemed panel who has extremely successful and has a great experience. So I would like to invite one by one, Ananth Subramanian, Executive Vice President and Head IT, Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company. PS Reddy, Executive Vice President, CTO, STARTEK. Sharad Kumar Agarwal, CDIO, JK Tyre and Industries. Dipu KV, President, Head Operations and Customer Service, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Dixit Mahidhara, Director, Enterprise Sales, Citrix. Thank you so much for joining this panel. I request now we have a very interesting and exciting discussion. So I'm sure you all agree that the fourth industrial revolution, where the technology has been playing a key role even before the pandemic, I think the digital workplace trend started, but not that much institutionalized, but pandemic made these digital workplaces as a norm today. Okay. And of course, there might be different definitions of what is a digital workplace and what all the challenges are there. Is it a myth? Are we really getting the productivity? Or some of the managers complaining that this distributed workplaces, remote work environments are creating more stress and work-life imbalance? Then how the same organizations have to be ready to ensure that the distributed workforce working from home, working from restaurant, working from other country. So what sort of IT infrastructure, tools and security precautions to be taken? And end of the day, you also ensure that the employee's satisfaction and engagement is improved. I think that's what I think at a higher level we will discuss. Let me start my session with the question: how do you define a digital workplace? So what do you think the top 5 elements will be there? Okay, probably let me start with Dixit. You want to share that first? So what are those 5 elements in the digital workplace?
Sure. So thanks, VSR. So as you said, there are multiple definitions, but from our perspective, like as Citrix, when we look at it, see, digital workspace is a platform. First of all, a platform of work, what we call, right? So today, there is a need for a platform which is enabling people to work, right? So if you look at it, what are the things which are top constituents of such a platform, right? If we simplify and look at it, okay, number one, first, it should enable employees or the workers, so-called knowledge workers, to have a great experience while working. That means we need to really look at it from all the angles, right? So from employee experience, right? That's the first aspect. Second thing is from the organization side, the second element, which is important in the digital workspace, is about the security, cyber security, and the impact which it can have on an organization's health, right? So the digital workspace should be able to address that aspect. That is the second important point. And third thing is, the flexibility, right? Today, any digital workspace should be enabling organizations to, deliver this great experience and security while being flexible in terms of their needs, because business is very dynamic. Today it is pandemic. Tomorrow there can be floods or, things like that, right? So the situation is pretty dynamic, and the workplace should be, allowing the organization to be really flexible. So if we look at it, the further constituents of what this workplace or this platform should be having is very simple. If you look at it, it should have an ability to connect to all the apps and data which any worker wants, and it should also enable him or her to work from, whichever situation I mean is, it's ultimately a network, right? It's like in an office network or any other kind of networks which he or she wants to work from, right? So it should have the ability to help navigate this any to any world, right? That's what I would put it, right? The digital workplace primarily should allow this aspects.
Okay, great. I think you covered, I think, all the important elements like security, flexibility, experience to employees, and able to connect with your internal IT assets, whether applications or network, whatever, and provide that contextual or situational ability for the employees to work. That way, I think we call anywhere, anytime, using any device or any situation maybe. Okay, so that's fine. I think. Thank you. So Ananth, you want to share your thoughts here? So how do you define digital workplace in today's world?
Yeah, I guess my thoughts would resonate what Dixit mentioned here. I mean, the ability for the employee to work from anywhere today and give him that seamless user experience, whether he's sitting in office or any other remote part of the place. It's not necessarily home. When we say work from home, it's not necessarily that talking about his home, right? It could be any place you go to, any location close by where he's got the internet access and he's able to log into the system. And being from a BFSI background, for us, obviously the governance, the cyber aspects of ensuring that the data, whatever he's going to access, is controlled, and there is a zero trust kind of a situation where he accesses only what is relevant to him. And of course, ensuring that he also gets this right support as and when required immediately. It should not happen that just because he's outside, the support is getting delayed. So for him, it should be just like any other day, whether he walks into the office or anywhere else. He gets his work done, he gets the support required. At the same time, being cost effective for the organization. It's not happening that since everybody is going to come in from an outside network, now suddenly your throughput or your bandwidth goes for a toss and you're not able to give him the efficiencies that are required. And ensuring that all these policies are seamless across, because these devices, whether they are on a laptop or a mobile, or through whichever means that he's going to access, you need to protect your information and see to it that the policies are seamless across.
Thank you, Ananth. So, Sharad, you want please?
So, what I would like to add is that for IT industries, it's quite possible, but for manufacturing industries like us, it's easier said than done. Reason being, you can't produce everything virtually. You can't dispatch products virtually. So you somehow need a sort of a hybrid structure. And then there are peoples of different mindset. There are people who are sort of freewheelers who like to work on their own. There are people who like to be guided. So all those sort of thoughts also shall be brought in together from a people perspective also. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. So, Reddy, you have any other thoughts? I'm sure a lot of points are covered now. So, any concluding remarks on this? How do you define a digital workplace in the context of probably your industry?
Yeah, I think Ananth, Dixit, and Sharad already covered majority of it. But I can add a few things. One is we are a BPO company. We deal with the healthcare BPO industry. We deal with all kinds of clients. Okay, and one important point for us is the collaboration. How can I create? Because I'm dealing with millennials. As compared to other industries, we are dealing with my average age of employee is 23, 24 years. And at the same time, my attrition is almost 60% per year. That means every year, new employees coming and going.
So don't worry, IT is now competing with you. We also reached around 40% now. So
BPO industry, they may that is a reality within that BPO industry. The collaboration is a critical point for this kind of millennials when we are dealing it. One is the security. I think Ananth and Dixit covered that. And collaboration is a critical point here, what I can stress. And that's why what we are creating as part of this work from anywhere model or a digital workplace point of view is, even when they are working from home or when they are working from anywhere, how can they collaborate with each other? For example, the minute they walk into the floor, how can I create a virtual floor for them? How can I create a pantry for them? So that, because what they are missing now is, earlier when they are going to office, they were going and chit-chatting in the pantry for some time. All that they are missing it. Right. How can I create that virtual environment? So we implemented some technologies now, where we created a virtual pantry or a virtual floor. They can really feel it that we are sitting on the floor and chatting with each other. That is a collaboration what I'm talking about. That is a critical.
So you are, I hope you are still not there with the metaverse, right? Maybe next year you might talk on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good, I think you covered a lot of points, like we covered the employee angle. I think most of the leaders here who spoke about the employee angle, providing them seamless experience, engaging them. You also talk about providing some immersive experience and all. That's very important activity you have to enable. The second one is the collaboration, how people can really collaborate anywhere, anytime. They can instantaneously probably connect. And then Dixit also mentioned about security. Ananth mentioned about privacy and other related information. All right. Thank you, friends, for sharing your great insight on this digital workplace. Now, let me come back to Dixit. Last 2 years, almost everybody has been working remotely. Okay, mostly from home. Even we are not going to restaurants, Starbucks, or a cafe coffee day and all. Mostly we are working from home and all. So what is that change you see in the employee behavior? I separate these employees also, managers and team. So when I spoke to some of the guys, they say that, oh my God, there is no work-life balance. So most of the times we are listening while we are getting work done. Okay, but sometimes we hear that the net is down, the power is not there. We don't know really whether it is right or wrong. That's the manager's complaint. And we have to mentor them, coach them. In the virtual world, it is becoming more difficult. When it is face-to-face, we just make it happen pretty faster. So what are the challenges you think the employees, management and the teams facing? And some people complain there is imbalance also. So can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if you look at it with this change, see, I think primarily in my perspective, what I see is there is a big need to change the overall, cultural expectations, right? Today, work-life balance probably is no more the right word. It is probably the work-life blending, I would call, because if we have to say that during certain time I'll work, during certain time I'll have my life, right? So that probably used to be the earlier scenario, but today it is gone, right? It is more of a misnomer because there is no fixed time today for work. Actually, if you look at it, I think that's a primary thing which is to change, which is the expectations of management towards employees and the overall organizational culture to accept such changes, right, which are happening around. I think that was the challenge, but today I see the good news is that I see that everybody realizes it. Like today, as a manager, probably in earlier days, I used to sit at home at 9 o'clock in front of my laptop. But today, I don't expect this neither myself nor do I expect from my employees or team members, right? Because it's blended. Ultimately, it has become an outcome-based, expectation, which is more important rather than where, how, which manner work is getting done. I think this is going to be a big driving force, according to me, which is going to propel the future. Because as PS also mentioned, the challenges are different now today. The challenges are more about how can we have a hybrid environment where, give the choice to the employee to decide from where he or she wants to work. And as an organization, one should be able to enabling them, right? At the same time, giving them the best of experience so that, you solve the challenges of attrition, solve the challenges of, any other collaboration related challenges. So net, this is very exciting time, I would say, and hybrid is going to stay, and these challenges will be tackled like we have actually tackled so many challenges till now.
Yeah, I think you raised a very important point, the outcomes. It's not just simply completing the tasks, not monitoring the task. So it's like, even I don't care probably the effort spent in a way within the time, whether I'm able to complete it or not is becoming a norm. I think that is a paradigm shift. People working from homes and monitoring the outcomes, not, I think micromanagement probably may go away. That's where I think the whole objective of this distributed work workplaces and all. I think it is a transition phase. That's where I think there is some sort of a confusion and then people adopting to this new environment. And one more challenge, what is your view? Anybody can share here in probably 30 seconds. there are so many news items are coming in. Okay, people are working on multiple engagements, even they are legally not allowed to work. They are working as a permanent employee today for one company. At the same time, they are doing moonlight, because especially the startups and small companies who can't afford bigger money, they are happy to get the services from these guys who are experienced. So what do you think this today's digital workplaces, working from anywhere, anytime, impact anything on this sort of moonlighting versus the permanent employee? Do you think it will be legalized, and where organizations also look at better, okay, if you work, okay, but make it transparent, and we'll also work out a model for that. Anybody want to share that?
Yeah, yes, sir. See, if you ask me, I will tell you the pros and cons of this work from anywhere. Okay, the pros is for our kind of business, for the BPO environment. Okay, our volumes are sporadic. Means there may be high volumes in the morning, there may be low volumes in the afternoon, or high volumes in the end of the shift. Okay, now it is helping us to plan our manpower accordingly, because they are working from anywhere. Once they come to office, I need to pay because 8 hours. Here I can get it when I need it. So when high volumes are there, I can get the people in the morning, and they can take a break. They have a low volumes, and I can get the people when I have high volumes. And the second thing is the language barriers. For example, as in a contact center, we support close to 30, 40 different languages, but including Indian language or foreign languages across the globe. So difficult, for example, in one of the client in Malaysia, we were supporting for Japanese language. So it is difficult to get people in Malaysia who can speak Japanese. So now this helped borderless contact center. I can call it as a borderless contact center. So this helped us to people can work from anywhere, means I can recruit people in Japan and they can support me for Malaysia. So it is a borderless.
Okay. So I think the point we are getting here is better regularize or legalize, and rather something working under the carpet and all. Okay, I'll say I'm working on 5 engagements and you are the 6th one, or I'm working here, I'm going to work on another 3 engagements, and probably you can adjust the pay cut, or you can do it. So make it more transparent, make it more legalized. Maybe that is a good practice, rather having this fighting, oh, why are you working? You are working here, you are working somewhere. Maybe, we don't know. And it will emerge, of course. That's where I think the gig economy is picking up pretty faster, right? So how to leverage the external experts, not just limited to the permanent employees. Okay, Ananth, so let us come back to this one now. I am sure, as I mentioned, the workforce coming into the organizations, and of course, the baby boomers already gone. That's where my view from the industry. Now, I think the leaders are the Gen X, right? And then you have Gen Y and Gen Zs or Gen Zs. So especially the younger workforce who are coming in, 22 years, 21 years plus 24 years type of people coming into the industry, the way they brought up and the way they interacted, their tolerance levels, their learning ability, the smartness, laziness, there are so many mixtures you might have observed, right? From your kids and children and all, whatever. So can you share what is that, I think, the organizations getting the good from this type of generation? And in the digital workplace perspective, do you see they enjoy and they love it? Okay. Oh, it's like something more flexibility. So can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah. See, let us accept that the Gen Z that comes in expects things and systems to work like an Amazon or a Flipkart, right? They are used to things happening very quickly, correct? They would want response times, as of yesterday. For them, something is working on an X system should seamlessly work on the Y system also. But somewhere we have to make them understand that see, they are used to a lot more freedom today, right? Whereas when they come into a workspace, obviously there is going to be some kind of restrictions which will have to be put in. So trying to make them understand that there would be a certain line that you cannot cross. They are open to a lot of ideas, right? They understand that that technology is there, but then they prefer a lot more open work environment than a little restrictive one. So we what we've been doing is we kind of during these inductions we kind of give them a deep dive on what cyber security is all about, what data security is all about. So it is necessary to bring them and make them see this side of the story also. While you may be given a lot many things to do yes, today you have the flexibility to walk in anytime. At the same time, our expectations as an organization would be that your productivity is not at risk, right? We need to ensure that you are able to give us the productivity that we are expecting. End of the day, the pay scales are not being reduced, right? Just because you're doing work from home doesn't mean that I'm paying you lesser. I'm definitely paying you the same salary as I'm giving you when you're going to be coming to office. So my expectations from a productivity is going to be as high as what you are, whether you are in office or whether you are. So I need to bring in that discipline. Obviously, as Reddy mentioned, things like a virtual breakout room and all would be necessary, because I need to ensure that these guys are adapting to my culture, which is there. End of the day, every organization has its own culture, and if I am going to translate that into this Gen Z, then I need to bring in those methodologies which will ensure that those things happen.
Right. Thank you. So, but Hyderabad, there is a new trend started. Work from home, they are giving a little bit of less salary. 15 to 20% they are giving less salary, a little bit more flexibility for them. So I think, that's a new trend again emerging. And do you see, because of this hyper connectivity, all this real-time communication, collaboration, and the thoughts of these Gen Zs are different, do you expect a reverse mentoring? Already the reverse mentoring trend started. A 50 years guy is getting mentored from a 25 years old young guy about the new way of execution and all.
That is what I'm saying.
No, in the digital workplaces.
No, that is bound to be there, right? I mean, they would tell you that, hey, this is possible out here. Why can't I do the same thing, on this particular system? But as I told you, within an organization, when I'm trying to bring that aspect of governance, I will be making things more flexible and doing a lot of changes to digitize my organization as much as possible. At the same time, there will be certain restrictions that will have to be put on to ensure that the governance is also there, right? So it's a thing. It's a balance that we need to kind of look out and ensure that it's a win-win for both of us. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Ananth. So Reddy. So now we are giving more comfort to employees. Okay, you can work from anywhere, anytime, using any device. Using any device may not be there. I mean, it is very difficult to manage. As an IT guys, we understand the nightmares if you allow them to use any device and all. But still, I think bring your own device now, use your own device maybe, because where to bring now? You are working from home. Okay, so if the employees are now able to access the applications or infrastructure through mobile phone or tablet, laptops, desktops, even nowadays through car consoles also are able to access, for example. So what do you see in this context, basically, how that will impact the organization? And can we provide a seamless experience to employees? Because these guys are jumping from one device to another device, right? Okay, sometimes they are working on a tab probably in the home office, a laptop in the home office, then go to the restaurant and they open a tab and want to work and all. So how do that continuity is maintained, and what do you see that the seamless experience is provided? Do you think it will increase the overhead to IT? Because you want to provide a seamless experience. The form factor is different, the access controls, the security, the privacy, and monitoring these devices.
Definitely, it is possible. Technically, it is possible to provide that kind of user experience. But as you rightly mentioned, security is the primary problem. And the second thing is how can I manage these devices remotely? And third thing is what kind of devices I can allow them. As you rightly mentioned, because applications won't work in different browsers, like iOS devices or Unix or Linux. Whatever operating system they want to use it, some applications may not work because our applications are defined only for some kind of browsers or some kind of operating system. So practically, if you ask me, technically, this is possible, but difficult to manage from the back end, from the IT team point of view. And it's more challenging to IT team to manage the security and allow these kind of devices into our network is a major challenge, if you ask me.
So I think there must be a strategy. As you said, it's not like just simply I will allow everything and anything. There must be a long-term, there is a strategy, there is a priority, and there is a need. Whether really I have to open this on multiple or couple of devices is okay, right? I think portfolio management needs to be done.
Correct. And if you ask me, in our environment, we are allowing BYOD devices, and we are allowing thin clients. And at the same time, we are monitoring the security. I think Ananth will agree, because especially he's dealing with the BFSI, the security is a primary requirement. So some of the clients, what we did, is, how can I monitor when agent or employee is working from home? Because when they are working from home, I can monitor them closely, security point of view. But when they are working from home, some of these security tools deploying in various devices is a challenge. So still we deployed some security devices for the banking clients and healthcare clients, where we monitor them, what they do, what keystrokes they are doing it, and whether they are sleeping it or not. And do facial recognition, we allow them to log in. We randomly ask them to do voice biometrics, so that taking the call. So all that we are doing.
All right. Okay. Right. I think again it's a big debate: privacy versus organizational security. So, what extent you can monitor and all those things come into picture. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Dipu, I think last 2 years is different from whatever the experience we got in the last probably 20 plus years and all. So, can you please share what are all the processes, policies, or new tools, new infrastructure? What is that we brought it to enable these digital workplaces? Can you please share your experience of your organization? So we talk so much about anywhere, anytime using any devices and connecting home, etc. It's unified communications and all. So can you please tell me any new policies you introduced, any new procedures, standard operating procedures you introduced, any new tools you introduced? Can you please share your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Thank you, BSR. It was an absolutely pleasure, listening to my co-panelists on various dimensions. I break it into, three constituencies. One is the employee, the other is the customer, and the third is, a partner, because we are a distribution-led business. So when I say partner, I mean distributor. See, for employees, the challenge, was to keep them, physically and socially distanced, but yet keep them, digitally and emotionally connected. So I think like how, PS Reddy mentioned, security being key, we ensured that they were trained, and, obviously we put in, a lot of tools to ensure that, the basics were taken care of. That's one. Then the other is, we of course, gave them access to software, which otherwise they would have had access to, at home, in the office, at home. And of course, we brought in tools like, role-based access. Right? So that was clearly one. And from a partner perspective, we ensured that, it was device agnostic. So whether they use a portal, whether they use a tab, they were able to carry out, functions at their end, because it was a completely, paperless, environment. And then coming to our customers, contact centers are shut down. So we had to overnight, get them to, switch to our digital assets. So that's where all the tools that you spoke about, one is our AI-driven chatbot, that came into play. And India being mobile country, most people, use the internet via their mobile phone, and people use WhatsApp heavily in India. So the gateway to our chatbot became WhatsApp. And at that time, 1 out of every 3 customers used to approach us, using WhatsApp to get through to our bot. And we also made life simple for our customers by building frictionless, seamless journeys on our mobile app. And of course, customers at the portal. So mobile app, bot, and the portal, contributed to the bulk of our digital servicing. For employees, the office, became the new offsite. So that's why, they use this. And for our partners, they had, tabs and portals. And also the entire training shifted from paper to video. So we used video SOPs, and that ensured that, everybody, was, in there. We also conducted, employee engagement, through virtual meets. So we had a virtual birthday party, we had digital antakshari, we had, digital singing, we had, digital painting competition. So I think everything became, so everything became digital. And I think that's why we not just survive, but we actually, thrive through the
So do you see there is a great element of training and preparation required by HR folks? Especially the workplace is something where HR need to understand the digital workplace.
Absolutely.
And the employees' attitudes, behaviors,
yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think you asked a very relevant question, earlier in the context of moonlighting and whether, the nature of employment will change. See, what can happen is, as long as you're a full-time employee, you are bound to one company. But if eventually, everybody goes towards, let's say a free agent / contractual, economy, then what happens is you no longer tied to one company, then you are basically, in consulting mode for, a bunch of companies, subject to, of course, Chinese walls and boundaries. So that can happen. And that will result in, a completely new outlook for HR, right? The other thing we have seen, for example, today is, from a hiring perspective, that people don't have to migrate to big cities for jobs. They can even get them from small cities. Untapped talent pools are coming in. People who are available for 4 to 6 hours a day. So there's a complete revamp for HR folks. Right now.
So one more question I ask you here. So especially in the Indian IT industry, of course, you are that side. I am from Dixit as a service provider perspective. The attrition has gone up. Okay, the attrition has gone up tremendously. I think from 8%, 10% to now some companies having 35, 40% also, which you usually observe that in the BPO industry, 50%, those are all 60% what Reddy mentioned. But IT industry, services industry, we never heard about it. So do you think, is it because they got more opportunities? Is it because our friends, venture capitalists are pouring a lot of money? Or is it because they got frustrated with this digital workplaces and unfriendly policies, which probably organizations not able to provide the same experience to the employees?
I think it's a combination of two factors, VSR. You touched upon some of them. I think one is, if you look at all the articles on, the great resignation, or the great attrition which has been happening in the last few months, it's because there has been a complete pivot in the priorities in people's lives, right? Suddenly they realize the value of family and they realize the value of home, right? Because borders became much more concrete. So I think one is a pivot in people's lives, right? They have said, I'm okay to, compromise here, but I'd rather be close to my family. So I think that's one aspect. The other is, like you rightly said, with venture capital and, PE funds, money flowing into various sectors. And also that firms have realized the need to digitize. It's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Obviously, opportunities have, opened up. So it's a combination of both. Opening up of opportunities as well as a pivot in people's lives. Yeah.
Right. Thanks so much. Sharad, we talk about digital, and Reddy also mentioned about the communication, collaboration are very, very important. So what do you think, how these unified communications, whether voice or video, and then I think Dipu also mentioned about chatbots, right? Virtual assistants, whatnot. I think there are so many, communication channels, social media is there. So this communication collaboration tools and unified communications, how it become a catalyst for these digital workplaces?
Yeah, thank you, VSR. So I would say that they have not just become a catalyst, rather they have become the starting point. Means so Dixit would agree that they had been pitching for unified communication since more than a decade. But it really took off during this pandemic time. So as Reddy was also talking about, that we need seamlessly, if I'm working on a laptop, if I'm working, so then I'm moving out, I want to take the work with me on my phone, on my tab. And initially, about 5-7 years back, you were having, say, VC dedicated video conferencing rooms in which if you were having terminals at the other end only, then you were able to participate. But then came the apps. You could have logged in with X company's VC, which was hardwired. Using app, you could have connected anywhere. So that was, I would say, sort of more elite, more restricted at that point in time. But come pandemic, we found out different ways of VCs, different ways of working with each other. So now if I'm working on a laptop, if I want to transfer it to my phone, or I want to participate, suppose I was to drive, so I would have wanted not to use this VC platform. I would have wanted to use a dial-in functionality. So unified means, from a collaboration perspective, be it voice, be it video, be it even writing, be it sharing notes, all shall happen seamlessly over devices, over platforms. So a couple of things which are still missing is, yes, if you are working on a platform, so you can't sort of collaboratively mix multiple platforms. Means, let me call out if it is Zoom or Teams or GoToMeeting or anything. So it shall be so that everything can be merged together. And secondly, while merging, we shall have a sort of digital rights management available to the host, so that some important information which we want to be protected can't be shared, can't flow out. That's one part. Okay. But another important thing is the emotional part. Emotional, as Dipu ji was pointing out, that they used to have virtual birthday parties, etc., etc. But still, you feel you miss the human connect. So as you talked about metaverse, if metaverse type of things come in, probably we'll be able to shake hands virtually. My avatars would be donning those jackets would be able to shake hands, pet each other's back, do a virtual and whatnot. So these are just thought because what I personally feel this working from home has drained people a lot. So the emotional connect has been missing. So what thing has come out more, I would say decisively, is the human part of all of us. So we have started to see each other more humanly. I don't know whether the word form of word is correct, but we have started to see more humanly. So these are some of the things that shall be added. So unified communication. So rather it shall become unified collaboration, come emotional connect if possible. So that's the thought I'm thinking. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Dixit, do you see, because of this unified communication, the screen time has gone up? And are there any health issues you observe in terms of fatigue, stress, too much of screen time? And now you are available 24/7. Your boss will just simply come on Zoom or come on this, let us talk. So do you see this unified communication has created imbalance?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like if we look at it from the old world perspective, yes, it is created imbalance with respect to increasing screen time and, a lot of stress, right? But as I mentioned earlier, I see that the world is really adapting and changing to the changing environment, right? Because of which what is happening is today, like if you people who are using a iPhone and Apple Watch, for example, they see that the watch tells them, okay, it's time to stand up and take a walk, like that, right? It's that kind of possibility which is happening. So these are actually getting blended, right? Today, with what was a challenge earlier, probably is becoming an opportunity today. So I would say that in the hybrid world, things are, if you look at it from the earlier lenses, probably there is a challenge, but I am very positive about it. I see that it is really moving in a very positive direction where these things are overcome, right, by people as well as overall organizations and entire society, I would say. Now, because of which these challenges would be overcome, and the screen time, etc., will be, those will be smaller challenges to surmount. I would say it's absolutely possible.
Okay. I think, as you rightly said, it's hybrid is always the best. It's not like full time sitting in front of the screen, and so the sedentary life has gone up when you sit in front of the screen too much, right? At least in office, you walk, you go for a cup of coffee to the cafeteria, you talk to your friends, chit chat, or in a conference room, you walk. That is gone. So everything is sitting in front of the screen, and then.
No, just to add on that, that's what I was mentioning. Like, people are doing it, right? Today, they don't need to do work only sitting in office. They can just step down, step outside, go have a tea, or even wherever you want to go. But the work is traveling along with you. The work is along with you. If the person wants to work, he or she can work anywhere, right? That's where this platformization of work, I would call it, the platformization of work is really helping, because the work is not just a place where a person is, but work is actually what one does, right? So in that sense, he or she can do that anywhere. So those barriers are actually have crumbled.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Dixit. I think, as you rightly said, if it is going to be a norm, I think new policies will emerge for the sake of safeguarding the employees' health also. I think, as you rightly said, nobody stops you to go for a cup of coffee to the bottom. If you're on a single 2 floor, then come down, or if it is 1 floor, then you go out. I think there are some things you have to do it like what you do it. So some policies, some, I think, the lifestyle, I think changes also expected when you're working from home and all. Thanks so much. So Ananth, what do you think these digital workplaces? I think a lot of people got surprised, especially IT industry, with these so many millions of people, how they turn it around, providing services to the global customers. Seamlessly, they transitioned completely working from office to working from home, and still they got more businesses now, so on and so forth. So what do you think, in our perspective or from your organization perspective, what changes you brought in the IT infrastructure and the software applications and other related aspects, right, within our CIO organization, so that you are able to enable that digital workspace and where the business executives, your customers, your partners, like Dipu mentioned, able to perform their work?
Yeah.
What was the load and what was the strategy?
No, so for us, being a very heavily regulated, first of all, we never expected that a mutual fund can actually work, completely on an online, structure. And but for us, being heavily regulated, we had already set in certain, systems which would allow people to work from home already. Some of the critical users, like we are all based out of Mumbai, right? And Mumbai is known for its traffic jams, for its monsoons, or any kind of, there could be a terrorist attack at 26/11 happening. So how does it then an employee really reach and ensure that he's able to do work seamlessly? So we had built in certain processes, specifically for the treasury team, for the fund management team, the NAV team, to ensure that they are able to work from anywhere. So even on a in the morning, my treasury team, when they come in the company bus, they are actually able to log in and kind of do their work. For us, the challenge was to scale those 50 odd, 100 odd users to the 500, 600, or whatever number of people that included the sales and all other divisions. So that is where the challenge was. For us, the challenge was more to scale rather than thinking of how to make it happen. How to what kind of solution to kind of provide. We already had the solution, so we scaled it up to those numbers, and then we started off. So, and we also knew that what controls was required already. Since we were already having these systems in place, the controls only had to be enhanced a little bit, probably bringing those additional two-factor layers, and what we have recently done, I mean, the last 1 year or so, we have also observed that it is also necessary that the productivity is kept at what we are expecting, right? So we brought in certain tools which kind of told me, the right amount of deliveries are happening with the people. It's not that they are sitting at home and putting their machine on and doing nothing, or they're just looking at some YouTube video. Not that everybody is given the access, but then how do you ensure that they are focusing on? See, end of the day, my work has to go on, correct? Like, yes, I'm giving you the freedom to kind of work at whatever time that you want, but certain points of time for me, it's my certain operations are very time critical. I cannot have a transaction being authorized, after the banking cutoff hours are done, right? Or if money is coming in, I need to ensure that the money is cited and reported to the fund management team at the right time. It can't happen after the market is closed or whatever. And so we had to ensure that those things are all taken care of. People are focusing on the job. If certain projects, customers queries are coming in, they are responded immediately from a CRM perspective. So we brought in tools which kind of ensured that people are paying attention and going about the day-to-day work, not at the cost of productive time being lost.
Thank you, Ananth. I think this is a very interesting point. Anybody can answer this. Do you see there is a trust deficiency in the Indian culture? I'm not talking about other countries and all. I mean, I have an experience. You can also validate. Most of the times, I mean, somebody blasted me also. They said, how you can say that in generic statement. Most of the times, my observation, the last 26 years, my experience in the technology space, follow, reminder, guidance. Follow-up, reminder, guidance is a very important factor in the Indian workforce most of the times. I don't say 100%, but at least 60% of the workforce require follow-up, reminder, and guidance. Otherwise, what I committed to customer, it will be challenging for me because I don't know what's happening. At last minute surprises will come. So that is one aspect. That's where I think I always continuously monitor and see that whether they are going in the right direction, whether they stuck up. Sometimes they don't even come back when they stuck up. They come in the last minute and tell, oh, now I'm not able to do it and all. So that's one point. Second, is there any trust deficiency? Okay, when people are working from home, whether they are really working, Dixit mentioned, okay, it should be outcome based, but to what extent organizations define those outcomes and just looking at the, are they able to provide the outcomes just if you give the work? Without monitoring, without guidance. I think this is a very important debatable subject. We need to have another 60 minutes discussion on that. But within a couple of minutes, can you share in the context of this? Is it a cultural mismatch? The way we brought up, is it a trust deficiency? So why we need to put these controls to monitor? If I give the work, why I don't get it? The outcome, like Dixit mentioned.
if I can add just before anybody jumps in. So basically, yes, I agree that it is, according to me, it is cultural, and particularly probably, with the gig Gen Z, what you mentioned, this is going to change because definitely, the outcome-based environment is going to be the way out. But as Ananth also mentioned, there will be challenges. Probably this is a time also, right? Maybe 10 years down the line, it may not be the scenario, because then probably the Gen Z would be the gig workers would be in the senior positions.
Or maybe it starts from Gen A again.
So I think
Yeah.
it's again, I mean, yes, you are right. That problem is existing for sure, but I'm again very positive with with the near future, it's definitely going to go down.
Okay. Thank you. Dipu, I want to, probably you are the man who experiments so many new things. So I'm sure you might be reading too much vehemently this metaverse, and maybe started some POC also. There is no surprise on that. Okay. So what is that you think in this digital workplaces perspective? So the employee health, emotional engagement, which we already talked about, Sharad also talked about that, right? Employee productivity, employee learning, right? And end of the day, I want to have my employee for a long time. And unethical practices of the employees working for one company and then doing moonlighting as of now, unless it is regularized. After all, it is a law, right? If you change the law, it becomes right. Okay. So what do you think this artificial intelligence, machine learning, AR, VR, blockchain, these technologies do you think will help to sort out these problems, what I mentioned, or they aggravate?
Okay. So firstly, I think, I break it into two parts, VSR. I think the first is, an important aspect that we spoke about, which is the emotional and mental health of people. Because no matter, how much we automate the world, at the end of the day, we are human beings, right? I mean, we have our emotions, and that's what makes us human. So I think there's a huge, born again focus on, the emotional, well-being of people. And I think that is going to be, an extremely important part of this. So which means, two things. I think one is to the point that you made, whether it's AR or VR or any other, automated technology that we see. If that can, help, recreate that experience for human beings, it helps. And I'll give that with an example. There is a concept known as death doula. These are people who basically help terminally ill people get to death faster. So, for example, I'm reading a live case. So let's say that there's a lady in the US and she's come from from Italy, and when she's dying, she wants to go back to her home place. She cannot physically travel. So this death doula, uses virtual imagery to take her back to her hometown. So that lady feels satisfied, and then she goes towards a peaceful death. So that way, by leveraging technology, you can cater to the emotional needs of people. Now, coming to blockchain and, metaverse, right? Essentially, we are talking about, how the current form factors, whether it's internet or, how do they move from, like we say, from web 2.0 to web 3.0. And that is basically, just a way of transition of the current way of working to a new way of working, which takes into account these factors. And that is, pretty much, likely to come, because as we all get into, remote working, as we get into, not just a digital way of working, but a digital way of living, right? I think these are, natural corollaries, right? Whether it's metaverse, whether it's blockchain, whether it's AR, VR. So I think, this is all here to stay. Right. So voice as well, video is a new book, as we know. So whether it's video, whether it's voice, I think, this is all here to stay.
Fantastic. I think that's wonderful. Thanks so much, friends, for sharing your thoughts on, so what is this digital workplace, and so what are the challenges are there? What are the opportunities are there? What changes you brought in and really turn it around during pandemic, and able to help your customers, your employees, your partners. And it's a great learning experience for all of us. So when the major crisis comes, and I'm sure Dixit is strong advocate of the digital workplaces. And I probably personally feel the hybrid model is the best model, whether it is 4 days work or 3 days work and another 2-3 days working from home is a fantastic model, because you really go to the office, see the people, social networking that is there, and also at the home, relax, and you can work whatever, and the productivity also goes up. And technology should help in providing that emotional connect. That's where Dipu, you mentioned. It's not just simply mechanically we are automating and providing access and all. Okay. Thank you
I
so
know.
much, friends, and looking forward to again discuss with you in another interesting panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Yeah,
all.
thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.
Bye.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.